Echoing.
Echoing?
Yeah, a little bit.
You need some in-ear monitors, bud. You need these bad boys.
Yeah. Am I still echoing?
No.
We're going to get started here in a minute, everybody. It's Saturday, April 13th, I believe. Yep. Creative Tech, we're just giving it a minute for everybody to settle in. There's thousands of people to pile into this live stream, so we're going to get started here in just a minute.
You're muted. You're muted.
Joe!
You're muted.
Thank you, guys. I even turned myself down because of the damn... I'm sloppy as fuck. What's up, everybody? Joseph Sonderman here, Creative Tech. Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now.
All right. Am I echoing at all? Hopefully not. All right. How's everybody doing today? It's a rough start, but Joseph Sonderman here, Creative Tech. I'm with other Creative Techs, Cole Chase, and my boy Will Story, who has been MIA since the first episode. We are on episode 6. Will, how you been, buddy?
Busy. Very busy.
Yeah. Been killing it. Got a bunch of projects to talk about that he's been doing. Cole, how you doing today? You feeling better? I know last week you were having some you weren't feeling great, and I flow it solo, so I which was awesome. I needed to practice, and I totally failed without you, so I need you here every time. Thank you. No, I'm kidding.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm feeling much better today. So yeah, I'm excited to talk for sure.
Absolutely. We have a fun show today. We're going to be talking about brand guidelines. And, I know we talk about brand a lot here. The first few episodes, as we're building this out, I'm starting to document everything. I'm like watching the strategy that we're laying out and the topics we're talking about. And it is a lot around brand right now because that's what we're doing. We're building a brand, the Creative Tech. And that is the content we have here as we grow the Creative Tech. So today, I basically just want to take a moment to recap last week's show. Last week we talked about the eclipse was the focus, and we talked about planning, which I planned it. I did great, and I do want to talk about a little bit how I planned this awesome event. And I get up there, and I never realized to look at the actual start time of the eclipse. I thought it went much quicker. I was like, when we get closer to 3, I'll start getting the camera and I'll start turning things on. This shit starts at 2.
Mm-hmm.
And coming across the sun, and the kids are coming up saying it's starting. I'm like, no, it's not. That's just probably just in Mexico or something. No, it really started. And I look up, I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, that was a shit show. But no, I got some really good shit. And when we get to that portion of the show, I'm happy to share some of the shots that I got and whatnot. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, did you guys get to see the eclipse?
Mm-hmm.
I did. I was in downtown Dayton enjoying it. It was really cool to see the eclipse, especially once it became the full eclipse. All the street lights turned on downtown. And it was kind of crazy to see. And it was just nice being a little bit north of Cincinnati from where
the line of totality, because Cincinnati was not in the line.
Yeah, exactly. So being in Dayton, I know you were even further north, so you had an even better view than I had. But yeah, it was really cool to see, and glad I was actually able to leave work and make it happen. So
yeah, where did you see it from? Will, did you get to see it in totality or no?
I went to Oaks Quarry, so that's Fairborn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome.
I mean, it was perfect.
Yeah. We weren't around. We had just the kids with us and the dogs at the in-laws out in the middle of nowhere, which was awesome. But was either of you around a large crowd?
Mm-hmm.
I was.
Now, Cole, my question is how did was it real quiet at first once totality hit? Like kind of like eerie quiet and everybody just kind of like, what the fuck? And then they all started getting loud, or did they get loud right away?
No, they were. So I was at Mueller Brew Barn So they had a DJ that was playing Eclipse music that, went with the theme. So like Total Eclipse of the Heart, I think came on.
Oh, I
right
know
as
that damn song.
Yeah. So it wasn't very quiet. Everybody was on their phones. And I was just like, I don't think the photo I'm going to get with my phone is going to be that great. I might as well just sit here, phone down, enjoy the moment, soak it all in. But if I would have had my camera out, I would have definitely enjoyed to actually get some photos of it. But everyone had their phone out, putting it through their sunglasses, like, man, just enjoy the moment. But it was cool to see for sure.
Absolutely. So, I appreciate that, and that recap of last week and the eclipse. We'll show some more of that when we get into the discussion of showing what's been going on with our projects and stuff. So, brand guidelines is the focus. The 3 topics we have: consistency. Why is consistency important to your brand guidelines, and what do we mean by consistency? Design. That obviously you have to design your brand guidelines, and then growth. How do you grow with those brand guidelines? So with that being said, let's go ahead and do some catching up. Will, 6th episode again. You were here for the first. Then you went on a small tour. You've been doing a bunch of shoots. Saturdays are kind of crazy for. We've talked about changing the show times as well, which we will do as we get going and get bigger and progress. We need to talk about that. And anybody watching, suggest what time you think would be best for us. Obviously, we have to work with our crazy schedules. But Will, how you been since the first episode to now?
Yeah, we went on a tour with a buddy of mine, Noah, who his artist name is Starseed. He was touring with Gravitz and William Black. So we went to Columbus, and then the very next night was Cleveland, and the next night was Pittsburgh. So that was a pretty fun little weekend trip. Got to meet some cool people, see a couple shows. The venue in Cleveland was interesting because it was an old Masonic temple. So it's a big building, and they had 3 events going on the same night. So we were upstairs for the EDM portion of it, and then downstairs on the main level was a wrestling match, and then in the basement they had a Cincinnati metal band playing with a couple other local bands, and so we were able to we watched my buddy's set, we shot his set, and then because I was there with another friend, and when that set was over, let's just go adventure around, and so we went to the wrestling match. We had to walk past the wrestling match to get to the green room. So this is another thing that's weird about it. The green room is on the main level, and our event is on the 3rd floor. So to get to the green room, you have to go downstairs, it's just really weird. So yeah, the wrestling match, and then we had all access bands, which I guess they use the same all access band no matter what event's going on. So we were able to get into the metal thing without. We just walked up to them. They're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "We're with the event upstairs. We want to come downstairs to see what's going on." They're like, "Yeah, just go ahead." I was like, "All right." So awesome. that was super fun. Meeting Gravitz and William Black, 2 dudes that are super nice and down to earth, pretty solid individuals, and they put on one hell of a show. I think I'm going to be going to Bonnaroo with Noah. He got offered a stage out for this year, and that's in June in Tennessee. So we're going to be going out there for that weekend, and shooting then as well.
That's awesome. I played a show in Dayton once at a place called 18 something. I can't remember what the fuck it was called, but we were playing downstairs. It was a metal show. I was in a metal band, and upstairs they were having this fashion show, and we saw all these beautiful long lead creatures just walking around, and my bass player's like, "Oh, check out that one. And then the singer comes up between the songs, like, "Hey guys, there's a drag queen thing going on upstairs." And here the bass player's starting to get all creeped out because he was just scoping out these chicks, and it was fun. And don't get me wrong, I love drags. Those people, their energy, they don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Obviously, great people, but how are you at a metal show and you don't even know you're playing at a show with a drag queen fashion show going on upstairs? And it makes me wonder, the fucked up scenario you have, makes me wonder if this was the same place or something.
And it was cool. And then there was also after that, at the very end of the night when everyone was leaving, there was an after party EDM local DJ down in the lobby. It was weird, but that venue was okay. That wasn't my favorite venue though. I think Pittsburgh Stage AE is a really nice venue. So if you ever see a show you want to go to, Pittsburgh's worth going to, and Stage AE is pretty nice.
That's awesome. Cole, well, how's the? I know you were going for weekly uploads with your videos. Is it bi-weekly now? Is that what we're sticking to?
Bi-weekly, yep. I've hit it twice now, so I got to upload a video next weekend. I've already got that mostly shot, and then I'm sticking to the bi-weekly schedule. It's been kind of tough. I was out of town, I think Wednesday. I left Wednesday morning, got back Thursday night for work. So I was in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and then Easton, Maryland. Easton, Maryland is this small coastal town out of Maryland, and it was awesome. It was one of the coolest places I've been. Just the whole downtown area was really cool. Great food, just a great area. So it was a quick little work trip. But yeah, I actually filmed some content while I was doing that for my next video. So really excited for that one too.
Yeah, I like the last video you dropped too, the VHS. Like at first I was like, what the hell is he doing? And I know that that's really big. Like a lot of the big mainstream music videos right now are using that, and you would think they'd be doing it in post, but they're actually using VHS to record these videos, right?
Yeah, I mean the good ones for sure. You can definitely tell when someone adds a VHS effect in After Effects or whatever editing program, and it's from someone that makes videos. I'm sure Will can really tell too. Like, you know, when it's authentic VHS versus, you know, just a quick overlay somebody throws on there. So yeah, I figured I'd make that video about VHS cameras just because I have purchased so many in the past. And it was a quick, I mean, to be fair, it was a really quick and easy video for me to do, to hit that 2-week, you know, bi-weekly schedule with how crazy work's been. So I'm kind of going for those low-hanging fruit videos that I can knock out quickly, keep in the backlog, just so I can stay consistent with upload schedule. But yeah, I saw you commented on it, so thanks for that.
Yeah, yeah, and again, there's 2 YouTube channels that are in their infancy right now. And Cole, you know, as you develop as you get good at this, as we see the delta from the videos of today, and they continue to get better, and they are great. I mean, for where you're starting, you're in a great space. And we talked about doing spotlights on hardware, gear, on creative text. And I really see that your channel will drive that. So when we create something for the creative tech, you'll get to post that video on your channel and here to push it. And that gives us 2 platforms to test different thumbnails, different things, to see what works better. And that's one of the beautiful things that I'm learning as we're growing this thing out. I mean, even with us meeting up like this, and today, you know, we met at 11:30 as opposed to 1. I didn't tell anybody this yet, but yeah, I had a big scheduling conflict today. I can't change a funeral schedule, so obviously I got to go to that. And we are taking this serious. We want to grow this platform. That's why we're here. So a lot of crazy stuff going on. You know, we're all trying to build stuff out. We have an anchor, we have a mission, and we're working towards that thing. And right now, this small group is bringing people together to work on things. And hopefully, as we grow and expand, we can reach out to each other and bounce ideas off each other, or say, hey, can you come help me with this shoot? Or hey, can you help me get this client project done? Whatever it is, we're building a community that is helpful and, you know, just full of amazing people with amazing capabilities. So I'm excited about this. Let's go ahead and talk about today's focus. Let's get into it. Brand guidelines. Why are brand guidelines so important for us to discuss at this stage of the development of creative tech? I asked that question to both of you, and I'll let you guys fight over who gets to go first.
Cole, you can go first, man.
Oh man, that makes it tough. So I think, you know, as I've posted 2 videos. I mean, I've had YouTube channels for 10 years, just doing different things. But now with this new channel, it's my personal brand. It's got my name on it. When I was trying to look for branding and certain things, you know, for my thumbnails, I'm like, do I keep the same font, the same color for thumbnails? Because that creates, you know, cohesiveness. When you click on our channel, you get those videos that all look similar. Same with the color correction, everything like that. So I think from someone who's doing this as like a personal channel, you know, hitting on different things, brand guidelines are going to be a little bit different than if you were making videos for a company. But in my field house, for what I'm doing with my channel, making sure I'm using the same color correction, using the same everything that goes into the video. I mean, a lot of the static shots are the same. I'm not really a gimbal person. I mean, I used to be a gimbal person a long time ago, but even it gets down to camera movements. You know, you have thumbnails, you have text, you have intros, outros, all those things that I'm starting to look at from a brand guidelines perspective. And I'm subscribed to Envato Elements now. I was using some of their products for some other work videos that I was doing. And as I was going through there, you notice a lot of the creators that upload certain templates, they have very consistent designs within their products they're releasing. So if I download a After Effects template for a logo reveal or whatever it may be, a lot of that content from that same creator is the same. So I'm kind of leaning on, looking at other people's platforms, such as the content creators that I'm getting products from on Envato Elements. I'm like, okay, I like how you made this video. I can go check out your library of products and maybe download 2 or 3 more. And if they wouldn't have kept, those consistent brand guidelines, I don't know if I would have stayed, downloading their products. So I'm not sure how it works for Envato Elements, if they're getting kickbacks to how many things are downloaded. But, I just see how it's working out for them, because for me, I can click on one creator, I like their video, I can go download 2 or 3 more templates and get that same consistency. So for me, being a personal creator, my brand guidelines are a little bit different. I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's really cool to see, how things progress.
Well, I guess the question for you is, brand guidelines have a certain amount of fundamentals that have to be in it for it to be effectively a brand guideline to some degree? And I'm not by no means am I a professional or an authority in this realm. It's something I'm very interested in, and I hope to become an authority in this realm as I learn and build out the creative tech and to support and help others embody the modern workforce. And I guess the question is why is branding so important to the creative tech, or branding in general so important, and what kind of brand guidelines do we need here? I think I have an idea of what I want to do for brand guidelines, and I know I'll show that to you guys real quick. Let me do this and clear my screen so I can share. I should have had this ready to go before the show, but hey, live and learn. I'm going to pull up Icora's current brand guidelines.
I want to hear what Will has to say too while you're pulling that up, just because I know he does content. I know you do a lot of music videos. I'm not sure what else you work on. I know you do have like a day job where you're doing videos and content creation too. So how do you balance those, as your personal brand, as being a video director, cinematographer? Is there certain things you're always touching on, or is it kind of just based on the project too?
So it's 2 different worlds, right? So my day job, I work for a marketing agency, and I mentioned before to you guys that I've had to create some brand guidelines for clients, because there are certain times we pick them up. They're at different stages of their development. So sometimes they've had video work, or they have their own website, they have their own graphics, or they have nothing, and we're kind of starting from the ground up. And I think the biggest thing is kind of like understanding where they're coming from and where they want to go kind of helps develop those brand guidelines to be easier for them to adapt to. So again, most of my creating side of it is just for video. So that's like when you watch a video, what's that intro, what's the outro, what's the music, what's the font that we use, what's the lower thirds, and like how you kind of alluded to before, also like what's the look of the product. I have a few LUTs that are for particular clients that I use, because it's like an aesthetic that after I get through the grade, I can apply a LUT, and also kind of like it just makes everything consistent for them. And it makes it easier too when you see their video, like you're watching their stuff, and sometimes it's even before a logo is even presented. For my own personal stuff, it's a little bit different. I don't have like brand guidelines for myself, because I think as a creative, it's kind of hard, because you want to be able to experiment with many different things, and kind of just, I don't want to roll with the trends, but you kind of just want to play around with different stuff.
That's the flexibility that should have been one of the topics, but we will talk about flexibility when we talk about design. But yeah,
don't get me wrong. I do realize when I see certain things that I'm like, I like it, but it's not for me. Like certain design elements, or just certain things. I'm just kind of like, I like it. I can see how someone could use it and it would really work. It's appealing, but it's just not going to be in my world. because I don't think I can represent it well. So that's another thing too. Just understand, like, just because you like a particular look or style, it might not be the best fit for you. But I have had a few people who like look at my work and I don't know what it is, but they say there is a look. They're like, I can tell it's yours before I even see who posted it or if you're tagged or anything like that. So that is like a nice compliment because it means that there is some sort of guideline there. There is some sort of like identity. I just don't know exactly what that
Well,
is.
you're young yet. You're I'm still trying to learn my voice. Like, everybody does have a look and feel to what they do, and that's exactly what brand is. And the things that you do consistently, to me, are what start to develop your brand. How people experience you, how you make people feel, is your brand. You're what I'm asking is fundamentally what needs to be in there, and obviously a logo. You have to have a good name, right? A logo. You have to pick fonts. You have to pick colors. Like, what is brand guidelines? And that's what I want to show here as we talk about today's focus is.
And one comment on that is because I know we're gonna go into another like consistency. When you're picking out these elements for your brand guidelines, pick out something that is like, you have to find a balance between like stretching, like you're developing this identity, but also something that you can consistently do. Don't stretch yourself to where you're not going to be consistently able to do it. So Cole, you mentioned how you wanted to do weekly uploads, and you said, you know what, I'm going to do bi-weekly uploads every 2 weeks, which is completely fine. I think that's 100% like every 2. I would almost say every 2 weeks is favorable to you because you can get a lot more stuff done and have a more quality. Maybe like you do something exciting for 2 weeks, and like you can have more content in there. I think it's important to understand like your own, like what you can do and stay consistent, because consistency in the long term will really flourish your brand guidelines and your identity versus inconsistency. My identity here on this is very inconsistent. Is a perfect example of that, because I know if we do this next Saturday, there's a good shot that I won't be available.
Well, and that's my point. And we're going to get into consistency. We're going to really dig into consistency here in a minute. But to back up for a second, we can move on to the first topic, which is going to be, I think first topic is consistency, isn't it? Yeah. So we're jumping the gun just a little bit. I want to show a brand guideline, simple. And this is something like Quora is doing for its clients. We want a baseline brand guidelines for everybody across the board. So the creative tech needs one of these for it. That's what we're going to build. We're not going to do that on the show, but next week, hopefully we have some progress to show towards that. That's the basis of this show, is that as we build this community, you get to see us do this in real time. So an example of our brand guidelines, we need a logo first. So creative tech is going to need some form of a logo, correct?
Absolutely.
And we're going to need, it needs to be a good logo that can go on multiple different faces or different color palettes. For flexibility, which is what you were getting into. And then we talk about colors. Now, for me, colors, any logo, like a Nike check mark, any color you pick, none of it matters until you pick it and you stay consistent with it and apply it to your brand. And as it grows, that's when it becomes that's when it becomes relevant. So picking things at the beginning, you can pick things to help things go in a certain direction if you want. Like, what colors can I pick to go with my IT company? What colors can I pick to go with the creative tech? What if it's a studio? What colors go with it? The way I made the decisions, just so I'm being transparent, and we don't have anything picked out for creative tech yet. That's why we're talking about it. We're getting ready to do it, and I hope to get some feedback from everybody as I go to do this. That's why we're doing this show. The purple for me is, I married a woman that I love very much, and her favorite color is purple, and I even have a purple one wheel now. I'm obsessed with my wife. Maybe I'm not healthy, I don't know, but that's why I like purple. That's why I chose purple. And after I picked it, I started finding things that allowed me to, like, oh, I really like purple because of this certain reason over here, and it looks really good against this. It will, once you pick something, and whatever reason you put behind it, it will start to grow with it. If it doesn't feel right and it starts to give red flags everywhere, then you need to change it. And that's really up to the person. But what you have to do is you have to pick something, stick to it. it was easy for me to stick to this because it represents something very important to me. If I ever get a divorce, that might be problematic. But that's a joke. Anyway, I picked purple for this, and for my company Rigid 6, my favorite color is orange. I love a poppy fluorescent, like just in your face orange, especially off the headgear with the light gray with that orange color popping off of it. Oh, I love that. That's what Rigid 6's color scheme is. I don't have their brand guidelines done quite yet. The colors are very important. And then you have your fonts. For us, we're using Lato, and the designer told me it's because of the logo, the way the eye has that kind of like a slant like this. That's in the same. If you look at this font, the Lato regular, that same principle is in all those. That's why it's connected to some degree. I thought that was pretty clever. But then we have icons. These are our icon sets that we use for Icora. Again, we don't even have a website yet. This is years in the making as we're building this out, and we need to do this for the creative tech. I'm just using this as an example. We're using these color gradients because when I work with a designer, see this back here? Does this background look gradient to you any degree? When I was working with my designer, she said every time I had a meeting with you, your back wall was gradient, and I just connected that with your business, so I thought of gradient backgrounds. This is what our brand guidelines look like in an example of like a website or something. This is a minimal brand guideline, and this is what we're going to build one of these for the creative tech, just so that way we have it. So when we go to build out, documentation or put a post out or do whatever, the consistency is there. So that's what brand guidelines are for me, and that's very important for you to have for your business. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Are you asking for how we think it looks, or are we asking the importance of it?
Well, how it looks to me, I like it, and it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. In the long run, but yeah, I would love to hear what you think about it.
I mean, I think the gradient's cool because it fits the background. I mean, you've always had the lights, like we talked about your can lights and stuff in the basement. So I like the gradient portion of it.
I like how her brain connected those things, right? And when she presented it to me, the way it made me feel. That's her brand. She's really good at that shit. Mm-hmm. And we have a really great designer, Jade. I would love to get her. I don't know if she's familiar with the show. I haven't talked to her in a minute, but I would love to have her on here. I know she's definitely a creative tech. So I want to keep the show moving. I feel like I might get too deep into this. Where are we at with time here? We are trying to stick to
11:57.
So we're about halfway through, and we've talked quite a bit about consistency. So I'm going to say that we're in the process of consistency right now. Let's talk about consistency. We have been talking about consistency to some degree. Cole, you talked about it pretty extensively earlier when we were in the intro, and Will, you were talking about quite a bit just a moment ago about how consistency is important. Make sure you can be consistent and stick to things. Don't do weekly if you feel you can't do it, right? So I believe everything in life is prompt and consistency. You get those two things down, you're going to be successful. How can we be consistent with creative tech? Like, where's the consistency with creative tech? Let's talk about those two.
So I would say the one thing we're consistent with right now is the weekly shows. You're hopping on Saturdays. I was gone last weekend. Will's been gone. He's been on shoots. He's been actually living the life of a creative tech. So, he hasn't been able to come on here and talk about it. But I think the next thing for us is, we've talked about how are we going to take this content and repurpose it so that we could post a reel or a TikTok or whatever it may be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And once we've talked about a schedule for that and how we're going to make it happen. We've talked about meeting twice a week for an hour to go over the show to bring, just some more ideas into it. But we haven't landed on a schedule yet. So right now we're trying to determine what the consistency actually is. We're meeting one day a week for the show. That's one thing that's down consistently. But now we're going to talk about, how are we going to repurpose this content? How are we going to use it to post, on Facebook Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so that all the time we spent doing the live show can actually be, broadcasted to a wider audience to make sure, people know like, hey, on Monday, we're going to get to see a couple quick recaps from Saturday's show. And I think that's really important with, putting the show and, the idea of the creative tech in people's faces all the time. I mean, Joe, you're live streaming every day. So anytime I know,
that's very private though. I'm not doing that I'm not pushing that on YouTube. I'm not pushing that on
Right.
That's more for me to practice. But you're right, and if I get consistent with that, because here's scheduling to me is everything. We have to look at our calendar and know that we can plot time in it to make something happen. So if we're going to do reels, we're going to have to carve out some time to make sure we have reels ready to go.
Yep.
And that can't be done like because we already have the show takes up an hour to a half hour before the show, and then a little bit of time after the show. Right there's a 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours right there every week that we are doing just to have this consistency right here.
Yep.
And I hope at some point that like today, like I feel like 20 of these into it, I'll feel confident, especially after we get the to show everybody where we're at, because we got to get into community discussion too here in a moment, and I'm going to go ahead and start leading into that to some degree. So for some of the community discussion, what I want to talk about, let's get my teams. Where did my teams go? Oh, I had teams open. Oh, it's right here. Go down there. Under the creative tech, we have this sessions show, and I'm happy to show these things to our community because I want them to see this is just you can use a spreadsheet to do this for Christ's sake. Let's open tab a new window. So this is like a little app that we have to manage the show. It lets us know, next week we need to go ahead and get, what are we going to talk about next week? That's going to go right here. And we should have a few of these planned out. And I bet you if we had a good calendar that was rich with our projects in it and our actual activities in it, we could look at that calendar to give us an idea of what a good show would be. So for consistency for me is having a solid calendar set up that everybody works off of and can see and make relevant as they plan out their, what's coming up. And who knows, something could come up and change something. And if I can't be here 20 shows from now, I hope you guys can take the show and run with it without me being here. Because through the week, I was able to put everything in place. We have the thumbnail finished. We have the description for the show. It's already been scheduled online. We just need people to show up in the studio and go live when it's time, and it's done. So as we build out these systems for consistency, let's talk about the community and how we're doing that with the community here. Talking about our creative text and what we're going to do with this little app right here we built. Cole, you want to go ahead and talk about this a little bit so I can take a breather?
Yeah, you're good. So I think, initially when we put together this list, I remember the conversation we had. We're like, hey, let's find 5 creatives that we, fall in line with people that we follow, we think we pull inspiration from, and let's see how they would look compared to other creative techs. So having, certain baselines set up so that people can take a look at the list and say, here are the people we have in the list. Here's where they kind of fall in line with everybody else. It's really important because people can look at that list and kind of see what strengths those people have, what strengths they have, and how they align together. So creating, a group of creative techs that all have different strengths and weaknesses. I'm sure.
No, I was sorry. I was like, sorry, I did not mean to cut you off, but I was like, he's searching my name. I was like, you're not going to find anything.
I was hoping that you had some.
I actually tried searching you up too, and I couldn't find like an Instagram or anything.
Dude, I have the Will Story is my Instagram. The Will Story is literally my Instagram for everything. But no, YouTube's actually something I really never got into. As odd as that is.
This is the most YouTube you've ever done, is what you're saying.
You mean like with this? Yes. I didn't mean to cut you off, bud. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm going to...
7 mutuals. With that follow.
You're a full-time creative tech. Sorry, Will, you can continue. I'm sorry.
It's cool.
Basically, yeah, so this list is something that we want to get everybody into. It's the willstory@gmail.com, right?
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, Will, I hope you don't mind me blasting your email out here. I'm sure you have.
Everyone else is sitting right there too. So,
well, and that's the point of this is that I don't think that matters. If somebody wants to start bombing these people because I'm sharing this on a live stream, sure, whatever. The point of this is that we think it's important to have this because what I can do is I can look at this and we need to get a descriptor in here. Do you have any kind of bio in your Instagram or anything like that?
It literally says, my bio and Instagram says, where there's a will, there's a way. It has literally been that way.
There,
that bio since I pretty much created that Instagram account like 10 years ago.
Do you have a website?
I'm still trying to make it work, but the domain is kindofacts.com. That's the only website I have. I might need to build something, like I told you before, something different.
Well,
switch the
I want you to realize how powerful this tool is. I'll pick a good picture for you to put you in here, buddy.
I can send you something.
Sure. And the bottom line of this is if we look at this, we can look at all these other creative techs and how they have a professional domain. And, by the way, Cole, I just got notification that colechasemedia.com is still legit and active for the next 3 years. So, you could use that for your email account. And Will, I would love to get the willstory.com or kindofacts.com and get your email set up to be will@kindofacts.com. That's my point is by putting our stuff into this database, we can find where, oh, look, this isn't lining up because we have a free Gmail account. And look at all these, I want to, does that make sense? What I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to say that you have to do that, but as you improve, this is a good way to see areas where you can improve. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, I'm eventually going to need that email. Like I said, I need to get the website ironed out.
In the creative tech that helps you get the things done that you need to get done. That might be something that we're good at as we grow this out, right? I have friends that have reached out to me since starting this, and I want to do a podcast. We need to chat. Yeah, let's. And the way I want to work with them is schedule your free session, do the worksheets. That way, when we talk, I can help you better. That's the direction this is supposed to be going. Anyway, I'm trying to make it go in that direction. We'll see what happens. All right. So that's the premise here of the community and what we're building. Now, here's the fun thing. Well, I think it's fun. Everybody else might think it's stupid. There is an alignment form. Let me open this in another window. I don't want to have a team shit off to the side there. All right. So, actually, you know what? Have either of you filled this? I know, Cole, I think I've had you do a test one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did one.
Will, do you mind doing some homework for me real quick, buddy?
I mean, how are you going to send it to me?
Here, let's do this. I'm going to send it to you like this. You can't use your phone right now, can you?
What are you trying to send it to me on?
I was going to have you scan a QR code.
That ain't going to work.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, that might not work. You're using your iPhone right now. I'll send it to you in a text. Give me just a second here. I need to go to forms. I'll show everybody where. Again, if you have 365, if you have a professional 365 license, you have the capability to do everything that I'm doing here with the database we're creating of the creative text, the app I'm using to track the shows, the form I'm using to request information. So let me copy this link.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to add anything to my company's 365. I don't want them asking me about it.
Absolutely. If you're going, well, for work, I would say we are gearing up to where we could be a work-related resource, I guess.
No, I definitely see that too.
Yeah, I sent it to both of you guys. I should have sent it in the group. And my hope is that we find somebody that's interested as we grow, that wants to be a part of this, that can, help moderate the show and to talk to people and let us know if somebody's trying to get a hold of us and talk to us and blah, 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 blah. We're not near that yet, but that is something I see coming. So, yeah, I just sent you guys this form. That's our calendar. And then we got this guy here. So essentially, you're going to go through here and fill this out. And even I expect people to, read the fine print because we want you to know how you're selling your soul when you do this.
No, I'm not reading any fine print. I know the guy who made this. I'll just hit him up.
He's kind of a sketchy guy, though.
Andy. Joseph at creativetech.ai. Mobile number, sure. Oh, city. Yeah, we don't want, we want to know your location down to the city. We don't need to know your street address. And your cell phone number and your email address, we will put your email and phone number into that list, but we're not going to share that list with anybody publicly. And I'm hiding the column for phone numbers and email. I haven't done that yet. I haven't added phone numbers to the list yet. But when I add phone numbers to the list, because essentially what happens, you guys, as people fill this form out and they submit it, it automatically dumps that. I'm going to create an app, and I'm going to show you guys that when it's done. And I use Power Automate to do that. So once somebody fills out this app and they submit it, it puts them in the database automatically. It's going to fill in their fields. The only thing it won't give us is their picture. We're going to ask that they email their picture to us separately, because I don't, to have this Microsoft Forms to get information, like to download files, they have to have a professional license, and I need this to be open to the public. So they can't upload a picture, but everything else they tell us. And I want to know if you guys think this is relevant, or if you guys can think of anything that could be added or changed in here to get what we're trying to do. So when we get into interest and skills, we want to know what their primary interests are. Like, Will, I know for you, based off our conversations, I would think music would be in there.
Oh, I put in video and multimedia strategies, actually.
Well, I know you like working with music, though. That's to me when and I need to make that clear again. How can we make that clear? And whatever you put in there is fine for now. That's it's not a problem, because we're still building this out. We will learn from this version 1 beta. I think I even named it that. Version 1 beta. So we'll learn from this as we get it out to our small group of people that we already have. We get it back and we get them added to the database. That's going to be helpful. And I think people seeing that grow, that will make them want to do it even more, or at least get involved, have a free session or something. That's my hope. Anyway. Where are we at with time? Because I'm probably screwing that all up there, all in the back. We need to go to sessions. Go to today's shows folder. Pull back up the agenda. And we are now, I'd say we talked about the group pretty extensively. We have roughly 20 minutes to get these 2 topics out. So let's just bang out these 2 last topics. Design and growth. I talked about My Designer a little bit. How do we want to design our brand guidelines? Let's talk about if we were talking to a designer right now saying, hey, this is what we need for our logo. What is the Creative Text logo? What are we thinking here? Just brainstorming with words.
So I think I'm the opposite when it comes to you. You like the dark background. You got your RGB gradient lights. I'm more of a brighter white neutral color guy. So, looking at our 2 different styles, I guess you could call it, we're pretty different. So somewhere, it would be nice to land somewhere in the middle on that.
Well, I would look at the Creative Tech, what we're building, right? Like the actual essence of what the Creative Tech is. The logo should work around that. I am working and I don't want to share my screen. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
I think so many tech-focused pages and YouTube pages, they all have the dark background. And I have nothing against that, because it works. It makes sense when you're highlighting products, you have a dark background that isn't distracting in any way. But for me, I prefer like a nice natural light video, natural lit video, as opposed to something darker. So
absolutely. And I like to have symbols. I know some logos are the words. I like a badge type thing that like the Apple logo or the Tesla logo on your shirt, right? Like I
Yep.
like kind of some symbol of what the creative tech is. So I guess what symbolism or what type of logo, like, because what you're talking about is what kind of setting can we put the logo in to highlight the
Right.
logo. I want to figure out the logo first.
The actual
logo,
vector of the logo, because that's something I ran into with my video brand pretty iffy, is I have white and pink in the logo itself, and then when you go to put that on anything, it doesn't work because you can't just take the vector of it and make it a single color and then put it on a t-shirt or put it on this. It would almost have to be a white background to fit with how the logo is designed. So that's one mistake I made when I made that logo was, oh, now I kind of got to stick to like a white background to place this on stuff. Or if I put it on a black t-shirt, it's going to look off. It's going to look really off. So I think making sure we pick like a vector that we can plop.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Vectorized symbol badge type thing is where I'm going with. So the creative tech, the definition of a creative tech as well. That's something I've been working on in AI. I even said, give me a Webster dictionary style definition for the creative tech. And it even wrote out creative tech, and it's had a little thing with how he would pronunciate it. I liked the way it did it inside of that, and it said noun, somebody that does blah, 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 blah. The blah, 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 blah is what I'm trying to figure out, how to have one sentence that explains what the creative tech is. And whatever symbolism we have needs to, I guess, tie into that somehow. Whatever that definition of the creative tech, this logo, those two, it should be a symbol of whatever that is. Does that make sense? What are your thoughts, Will, on that?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I just finished filling out your form, so I was a little distracted. But I got that. By the way, the question I need to ask you on that form, real quick, split second.
What's your thoughts on the form?
Your discrepancy at the end of it when you talk about sharing certain content to the community. What exactly falls underneath that?
Anything that's on the form, other than your personal information.
Okay, it's not nothing expanded on that.
If it needs, that's why it's a beta, and I want your. Those are good notes. I don't want to. Let's talk about that offline, but yeah, I definitely want your feedback on it.
I'm the opposite. I like the dark look. To start right there, I especially on certain displays and certain like what you're actually looking at the content on, it makes more sense.
Well, like a bloody knife is what I. So when I'm talking about dark, like when you guys start talking, like I'm talking about imagery right now, that this can be put in a dark setting. Again, that's atmosphere. That's putting it in a setting. The logo itself, the definition of the creative tech, and having some kind of symbol, like it could be a butterfly, would be something light and bright to me. A bloody knife would be dark and gruesome. If we're going by symbolism, does that make sense? Yeah, so what symbolism would match the creative tech?
That's a good one. Because we don't want to make it too obvious. We don't want to just put a cell phone or a laptop, tech. We're going to put something tech on there. So trying to find something that kind of hits all those boxes. Because we do talk about more than like, we're all people that create content in different ways.
I consider this.
You have a background in IT, Joe. I have a background in engineering, and Will has a background in being a full-time creative director. So we all have different backgrounds, and trying to find something that kind of fits in the middle and a lot of people can identify with is the biggest thing, because we don't want to pick a logo and it's like, oh, well, that doesn't feel like me at all. So trying to find something that anybody can identify to.
An abacus? What would be a good symbol for the creative tech?
Would you say an abacus? I don't even know what that is.
Really, for an object?
You don't know what an abacus is?
Like the math tool?
I believe so.
The math tool.
It's the thing with the two bars and has little lines going across. You move.
It's a counter, essentially accounting for. Yeah, I like something like that. I do like that.
Well, I'm going with the creative tech, something that symbolizes technology and problem solving. Something like AI is the new revolution, right? And And I think AI is a big, because we're using AI every day. Like the way we use our cell phones without even thinking, and it helps us get things done. AI is going to be embedded. It already is to some degree. We're just now able to talk to it more fluently. Um, what what is it that creative tech does is it handles objectives and matters. And objectives and matters is what I core broke down their projects and their tickets to be, but we've made it a philosophy that's expanded beyond that. But creative techs are people that handle their objectives and matters, which are projects or running your business, taking care of little fires that you have to put out, in a creative way using technology. Like something around that essence is what the creative tech is. We were living life with intent, and we are using technology to help us get the best experience possible. And what symbol, what badge are we proudly wearing that says, "Hey, I'm fucking awesome"? Like, and somebody else brought up the word elitist to me and said, "Yeah, I think you're an elitist," and people tend to have problems with people that are elitist. I'm like, man, do I really come off as an elite? Like, what the fuck is an elitist, first of all?
I think I do something similar. I refer to some people as NPCs. I'm like, oh, these people are just NPCs. They're just doing whatever they're doing, and with no really care in the world, or no drive, or no objective of what they want to accomplish. And I think the same thing can be said about someone who's an elitist. They think that same way, and maybe those go hand in hand. But it's, I mean, you have drive to create something out bigger than yourself is the biggest thing. You don't want to just go to your work, get home at 5, watch TV, go to bed, do the same thing over and over again. So I think when you tell people about your goals and your ambitions, they think you're an elitist because they feel like you're talking down, saying whatever they're doing isn't enough. But it's because you know you only have one life to live. So you're going to do everything you can to make sure you get the most out of it. And if that makes you an elitist, so be it, right? But having, Joe's gone.
He done did it. He hit the eject button, the abort button.
Yeah, it's funny because last time we were on, he was on mute for the first 3 minutes. He did like a 3-minute introduction on mute. And I was like,
there he is.
Oh, hey, there we go.
Yeah, I hit the back button on. I hit the 2-finger back button on the browser I thought I was sharing, and I did it on the damn. I did it on the damn stream.
The damn show.
That was smart. Anyway, let me get back to this horrible book. That's not even the right book. That's why I was trying to hit back. I'm like, this isn't even the right fucking book. There is a. Where is that at? I know. You guys ever heard of monkey brain?
I live with it every day.
So this guy that has he started like multiple $10 million businesses. And what you're talking about when you say NPCs, this guy right here. Daniel Priestley. You guys ever heard of Daniel Priestley? He has a book, and he talks about monkey brain or monkey mind or whatever the hell it's called. And it's people that can do the same job every day, or the same. They're people like you're calling them NPCs, essentially. I like to think of myself as somebody that has a lot of energy that wants to help people do stuff. That's why I'm doing everything I'm doing. I just felt like elitist. I almost felt like someone called me something racist. I was like, that feels elitist. Like, are you saying like I'm like almost being called a narcissist or something?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I guess to me is, are we douchebags because we're on the grind? Are we elitist and we're bad for culture because we want people to push it? I do believe there is a side of this that goes there. Maybe that's why I feel like everything's starting to get dark. This conversation is going in a bad direction here. But for real though, like when I think of the creative tech, when you say dark for the symbolism, I know you're talking about the aesthetics of the way it looks. The symbolism being dark, I want it to be something that's uplifting, something, but I don't want it to be holding hands kumbaya down the road, right? Like it needs to be It needs to feel right. It needs to feel modern. And I'm putting down notes for what to try to think of as I brainstorm this. Like vector, that's perfect because it needs to be a badge or some kind of vector shape that can be put in any color in any environment and around it, and be solid. It has to look good, black, whatever it is, out with the outline black with a white background. And it has to look good opposite with a black with just white outline.
Yep.
So not dark, and I'm with you on the aesthetics is dark. Will, I think you and I are, and I see where. Oh, I would also say I like the light side of things. I like things being bright. That video we just shot that we can't show until it releases, the brightness and the vibe was perfect, and I like that for that feeling. What feeling do we want the creative tech to have?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said the abacus, because that is something that is, I don't know if generic is the right word, but it's a symbol that people can see and they know what you're looking at. I mean,
I think of the delta. When you think about the abacus, it symbolizes where we started with technology.
Right.
And you come to today. And I said that just as fucking around. So hopefully that's not something we're going to stick to. I mean,
I like that. I mean,
look into it, but I was going more for the idea of, or maybe even like the
progression.
I know that little thing that you use to make a perfect circle. What's that called? A compass or?
Yeah, compass.
What's it? Not a protractor. The gotta go back to elementary school so I can learn this shit again.
A protractor?
No, it's the thing that has the two. You'll have like you make a perfect circle with it. What's that thing called?
It's not a protractor.
Protractor? I thought the protractor was the flat thing that you laid down. And it was like a half circle and straight.
They both are though. The stand-up one that you put the pencil on one side and you put the point, and then I think they're both called a protractor. But
I'm just dumb.
Maybe there's another for a pencil compass. Oh, pencil compass.
Two eyes, and a smiley face, huh? No, that's too goofy. You get my point, though. I want to have something that symbolizes technology and where it's going. So, growing the channel. We've talked about that quite a bit. I think we're kind of off the rails with the last two topics. We kind of blended things into, but I do think we had a really good conversation. I think this was a good show. We're wrapping things up. We only got a few minutes left. So, obviously, we need everybody to do the usual: join the group, subscribe to the channel, all that happy stuff. But you know, why would you do that? Why are we trying to grow this? Why grow creative tech?
Why not? I don't know.
Well, my mission right now is to build a community to help people embody, like, you know, how many people watch Peter McKinnon and Potato Jet and Alex Ramosi and all the people that we have on our list, all those people that watch, that are living their journey right now, wanting to embody that or have their own identity out there in the world. You know, you guys are individuals, and I'm hoping by joining this group, while you're working with me, I can help you guys have your own personal brands solid, and the brands you work with, that you understand how important your involvement with them are, so that way you can uphold their brands and respect them, and what you are is useful to any brand you participate with. How does your brand affect other brands? What brands do you work with? Because I think that does affect your brand. If I go and just take on any client that will send me money, and I end up doing a whole neighborhood of skinheads or something, and that's my client base, and all I'm doing is making money, like, how are you aware of these things? Does that affect your brand? I think it might. If things that are outside of your control can happen. What are important to you, so that way as you're doing business, you're looking out to protect your brand. So growth is another part of this. That's all part of the whole conversation. The focus of 3 topics is just a way for us to generalize it, make sure we stay on topic. I think we did that today.
And I think too is if we're too structured with it, it seems more of like we're reading off a script. That was kind of the issue I saw maybe in some of the fewer videos we did, where like I had the script up and you're like, hey, make sure we're on time. And it's like, okay, because we went hit these 3 topics. But if we have a conversation that's flowing, we don't want to just cut it short because we said we're going to hit topic 2 at this point and hit 10 minutes.
Absolutely. It's a lot to
so just like being an hour long, I mean, this could be an hour and a half long or 2 hours long, or however the conversation flows. I don't think we should necessarily, we're going to stick to an hour because we all got stuff to do. But the biggest thing is making it natural and making it more of an actual, this is an actual conversation. This isn't stuff we're reading off a script to each other like, oh, you're going to say this at this point, I'm going to say this. And that's how we're going to do so that we hit all of our points. And I think as the more we do it, even myself in confidence being on camera has definitely evolved a lot from like the first video to the second video. So for me, doing this show is like, we're doing this because we want to hit on certain topics, but the value you have is in our banter and our dialogue with each other. We're talking about real life. We're not just talking about stuff we threw in a Word document. So, keeping it as natural as possible, I think, is the most important thing, because if we seem too robotic, no one's going to be like, oh, what? You're reading off something I could read online. So why?
That's a good point. And here's what I'd like to do that's a really good point. I want the show to evolve based off of that, if we can. Because I was thinking about that a little bit earlier too, because I want these to be fluent. And I think the problem that you're bringing up is that maybe the show's a little too fast paced with how depth we want to go with this. Part of that is we'll get better at sticking to a script. And this is an hour conversation. And I think if we took the time to look at each topic and know exactly what we're going to say, to some degree, each of us know what we're going to talk about on that topic, it'll get better and not feel that way. I think right now some of that is because of us not, having enough time or being familiar enough with the agenda. But the more we do this, I think it'll get more natural and that feeling will go away. But we also, like you said, I want flexibility in this thing to where if we get in a good topic, things are going smooth with a subject or something's going off, I want to stay in that moment, but still be mindful of our overall time. But again, we don't have a producer in our ears saying, hey, don't forget this, or hey, you guys got 30 seconds left, move to that. And that's what these people are doing. I'm not trying to get us to that level tomorrow. I just want us to organically get there. And it's important that we stick to the script, but we do have I feel it's a very flexible agenda. But I do feel like we get a little bit more, we're short on time with some of the things that we're trying to do. So what I think we can do is, we know the focus 3 topics. We talk about it in general. We were talking about consistency, but while we were talking about the focus, and it doesn't matter. As long as we hit on all 3 points, it doesn't matter the flow. So what I think we need to do is open up the format. Now, here's the focus of 3 topics we're talking about today, and we just start talking about it. And we say, okay, at this time, we're going to take a moment to stop the conversation and talk about this real quick. Mm-hmm. That way we'll get back in the conversation. I think that would be more fluid if we did that way. And if I think about other shows, like, okay, we got to get this in here real quick, everybody, and then they just get back in the conversation. That will allow us to feel a little bit more fluid if we don't have such a rigidness to the focus and topics. We say we're going to talk about the focus and topics through this time, and here we're going to talk about community and a break type thing, right?
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So again, we'll work on that as we do the next description for the show. I still want to keep the same description because if you guys notice, we now have 2 shows in a row that have this new format. And every time we do this, there needs to be improvement here, and here, a new policy, a new thing that we're doing as we grow. There's a thumbnail thing over here. So somebody's going to take ownership of thumbnails at some point. When we go to do that, we'll say, okay, whoever's interested in doing that, we're going to have a contest internal to the Creative Tech. 2 people or whoever wants to try to do it, like if it's 5 people in the group want to try to be that person, we can have a contest, and whoever votes on the winner, I won't have a say in it. It'll be the community making the decisions. That way the community is truly ran by the community to some degree. Anyway, how are we feeling? How are we looking?
Pretty good.
Feeling pretty blessed.
I know, right? First world problems. I got to go take care of family business and attend this funeral. It's not a good story. But no, I appreciate everybody being here today. Please, Facebook.com/groups the Creative Tech /the Creative Tech. YouTube.com/the Creative Tech. Go subscribe to the channel. Join the group. We're going to be doing the worksheet next week. I'm wanting to do the worksheet next week just so everybody knows. I'm going to send out a link. I want us to test it, refine it. So we do need to talk this week, but next week we're going to release we'll get everybody. We're sending a link out to everybody. Have everybody fill it out. All 5,000 of you listen. Yeah, guys, appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
All right, everybody. Keep it heavy. Keep it real. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.